Just two.
Hit me that.
Everyone needs compassion, love that's never failing. Let mercy fall on me. Everyone needs forgiveness, the kindness of a Savior.
Not to mention when I got back here and I started popping my strings to stretch them out, I broke one, so I had to put a brand new
Is this for Friday? Dang, I ain't got the key in there.
Don't get off me.
I'll try not to.
Well, I didn't know if anybody else was joining us.
Have we heard anything from anybody?
James isn't going to be able to, so I texted Adam to see if he would be able to, so we're just kind of waiting in on that one now.
Yeah.
You getting some practice back there too?
Yeah.
There is a name who reigns without contention, whose power can't be questioned or contained. With humble faith, he rules the earth and heaven. His glory knows no measure or refrain. And his bursting past the borderlines of space. And Jesus, enthroned upon the praises of our hearts. And Jesus, you're the key, you're the center of it all. center of it all. Jesus, thrown upon the praises of our hearts. Every other voice is still, every heart listening till you speak, like only you can speak. And everything we're longing for, the presence of the living God breathe, like only you can breathe. So come and fill this room with anything apart from you. Let it blow away, let it blow away. It's not what you wanna do, it's anything apart from you. Let it blow away, let it blow away. Every heart is open wide as your name is lifted high here. God, we know you're here. And everything we're longing for, the presence of the living God breathe, like only you can breathe. Come and fill this room with anything apart from you.
I go back.
Oh, do you?
I don't know what time.
Yeah.
I get off earlier.
Yeah.
I gotta be there at 7.
You're taking that.
I see.
Yeah.
That ain't playing.
Are you happy to drive in Carlson? Yeah.
Yes, I do.
I'll be right back, sweetie.
That was awful. You being good up here?
What?
Are you being good up here?
Yeah.
Okay.
In Muskogee or whatever. Yeah. You hope Assembly of God. Huh?
I used to go.
Yeah. They did too. The 2911 church used to be Assembly of God church. And they just changed their name. Yeah, it's still right now.
Hey, Addie.
What?
Zoe and Ollie's here. You want to go back and play with them?
Yeah, this. Yeah, this. What?
No, I didn't know that. Where's he at? Right. Look at you bringing people to church. I know that's what's up. Good. Look at you go. So proud of you.
How you doing? Hello. Jerry. Nice to meet you. Did you find it?
Oh, dog.
See you. Hello. Jerry.
How are you, Pat?
Oh, man. Oh, man, I'm David. Nice to meet you. Huh?
Thanks, man.
No, I like your shirt.
And they put it back together. So you still good. So actually, I don't need biology, but Jesus got me. I got you, man. I got it. I was set down. I was set down.
Oh, it's in there. They're like a baby. You can wash your hand. I forgot to wash yours. Why do you have red hair?
Because I got red hair.
Just be like, oh, well, I'm going to work on this. I'm scared about tires too. I mean, yeah, they're spare. And when they go out, it's going to cost me $1,000 to just put some new ones on there. Because they stand about, I don't know if that tall, big old mud tires. I think it's a good deal. I know you brought that up.
She gave it back. He tried it. He did an alright job. That is not nice, girl. That is not very nice. Do you not want me here? I'll go home. Go.
Not the ninja one.
Stand still.
Yeah.
What's her screen name? What's her name? Which? What's her name?
What's your bear's name? Miss Bear.
30 hours.
What's her name? Pete?
Sam's been dropping that place.
Why are you crying? Why? It doesn't hurt. Quit. Turn around or it's gonna hurt. Turn around.
Thinking mine was good enough.
It was falling out. It wasn't good enough. You did a good job on the bangs though. I'm proud of you. You had to have a one-on-one yesterday about how to put clip in bangs. I'm learning.
It'll be just a minute. She's almost done. It's going to be fun. You're you. Wow, that is awesome.
That'd drive me nuts. I don't know whether to chance it, go outside or do something.
She's almost African.
Okay, you're going with them though.
Turn out. It's gonna be okay.
Are you going back to the day? Love you, alligator.
Awesome, it's pretty. See you later. I run the sound booth. Sorry.
It's a nice setup.
Yeah.
Ooh, can the camera see you? Did he just
Yeah,
see?
it can.
We're gonna go sit down.
There's been a sacrifice things I've shared from the internet to us that I haven't really got
Last Wednesday, of course, you're waiting.
Last Friday, I was reading.
Boy, you done volunteered for. Shoot, I might come with you Saturday. They already found it. There's only
He was in her. We went to Tulsa before we finished the tour. Came back, Jay. I got to order now.
Yeah. We just got the message, what, 5 minutes late?
I hadn't been there since the
Working, I don't know. 6'10", 5'10", 5'8", 4'10", I don't
Scared me.
Dude, that's how my grandpa used to be. At his house, we'd be out in the den and be clear across the house. He said, it's not good to hold a meeting together. Let's leave it out.
You're 5 minutes late, sir. Take it away.
Everybody's fellowshipping right now. Where's the special guest speaker at for tonight? Is she still hiding back there?
She's probably taking her time that she's been running in all day.
Oh, this is about dead.
We've been having lots of fun with the batteries tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, cheers.
Wow.
Oh, cheers. Nobody listened to me. I saw a couple people reach for it.
Uh-oh, you're in trouble now.
keep your Bible in the box?
No, not Kindle, never. Never.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How
Sissy.
many people we got finishing up their fast? I was kind of good and kind of bad. Well, I doubled up yesterday, and then I went ahead and ate today. Is that all right?
Double up on one day.
He said he would drink nothing but water.
Water all day. What is it? Try it. Try it. No, I had water only yesterday.
Cheating the system.
Yeah, I peed a lot. Yeah. Yeah. That's what he was asking. That's what he was asking.
Susie.
But you know, it seems like in our weakness, he is strong. And when we get weaker, we seem to pay a little bit more attention, don't we? I can see that with myself anyway. I hope everybody else was the same way. Did I get any for being able to come here and be for you and just bless you? So Lord, we praise you. Amen. Blessed be your name in the land that
He can move the mountains. My God is mighty to save. He is mighty to save. Forever, author of salvation. He rose and conquered the grave. Jesus conquered the grave. There is a name raised without contention, whose power can't be questioned or contained. With humble pain, he rules the earth and heaven. His glory knows no measure or refrain. It's bursting past the borderlands of space. Jesus, enthroned upon the praises of our hearts. Jesus, you're the key of the center of it all. There is a name reaching past the margins. He's calling sons and daughters back to him. And as he saves, we can hear the roar of heaven. As prodigals are coming home again. Oh, the triumph of his name never ends. Enthroned upon the praise of our hearts. Jesus, you're the key, you're the center of it all. Jesus, enthroned upon the praise of our hearts. Jesus, you're the key of the center take. And every other voice is still, every heart within until you speak. Only you can speak. And everything we're longing for, the presence of the living God breathe. Only you can breathe. So come and fill this room with anything apart from you. Let it fall away, let it fall away. It's not what you wanna do, it's anything apart from you. Let it fall away, let it fall away. And every heart is open wide as your name is lifted high here. God, we know you're here. And everything we're longing for, the presence of the living God breathe. Only you can breathe. So come and fill this room with anything apart from you. Let it fall away, let it fall away. It's not what you wanna do, it's anything apart from you. Let it fall away, let it fall away. So move like only you can do. So move, 'cause all we want is you. So move like only you can do. So move, 'cause all we want is you. And so move like only you can move. And so move, 'cause all we want is you. And so move like only you can move. And so move, 'cause all we want is you. So come and fill this room, anything apart from you. Let it fall away, let it fall away. It's not what you wanna do, it's anything apart from you. Let it fall away, let it fall away. And everything but you. Let it fall away, let it fall away. And everything but you. Let it fall away, let it fall away. So come and fill this room with anything apart from you. Let it fall away, let it fall away. It's not what you wanna do, it's anything apart from you. Let it fall away, let it fall away. You listening to that tonight? There are so
many times that we carry with us everywhere our burdens, our loads, our everything that weighs us down. And our Lord tells us that His yoke is easy. So if you're carrying that burden, it's not from the Lord, is it? We're carrying things that is meant to slow us down and meant to tear us down. Satan comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Steal, kill, and destroy. So he wants to put you under. He wants to put you down. But Jesus wants to lift us up. Amen? Let's give him a hand tonight. Praise him. Praise him. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. Lord, we worship you. Thank you. All right, we've got another special treat for you tonight. Got something great in store for you. And no, it's not me again tonight. Yeah. It's not Vonda either. It's her mini-me. It's her mini-me. Yeah. The third mini-me. Ida, Vonda, and Amy. Come on, girl. You gotta hold this right.
That's what I think about your mic. That's what I think about your mic.
Oh, that's not mine.
Oh my gosh, came off. Okay, we're dropping labels. All right, Grace, you have to kind of excuse me because I was interrupted during my practice time today.
We just were here 10 minutes.
They were here longer than that. And they interrupted it very rudely. So I want to know if anybody else has been wrecked during this fast. Who's been doing the fast, first of all? I will admit that I quit about week 2. But that doesn't mean that I quit diving in and reading and immersing myself in it. And things have completely shifted for me in that aspect. I didn't really have to fast to get what I needed, and I'm sure it would have been way more heightened, would have been on next level. So maybe next time I will get a little bit serious. I couldn't even do just Daniel fast. Did it for 2 weeks, Gene. So I don't know if for those who did start the fast, I was incredibly hit or tested, whatever you want to say it, daily for about a good 2 weeks solid. I mean, every day it was something new. The very first day that we started, Ollie, get my kids straight, Ollie, the littlest one, got sick out of nowhere. Completely just woke up one day fine. Next minute she's wheezing, can't breathe. Me and Jeremy's trying to figure out what's wrong with her. We're panicking. We take her to the ER. No, we took her to, the doctor said he'll see her right away because he could tell we were panicked. Then the doctor said, I can't do nothing for you. You gotta take her to the ER. That scared us even more. So we took her to the ER. The ER doctor said, we can't do nothing for her. We need to send her out to Tulsa. We're like, oh my gosh, what is wrong with our kid? And her respiratory rate was so high, they couldn't get it down. They'd given her steroids. They'd given her like 3 or 4 breathing treatments with steroids in the breathing treatments. Nothing can get it down. So at this point, I'm starting to cry because I'm like, oh my gosh, my baby. They're wanting to give her an IV in her foot or in her hand. They even talked about the forehead. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to kill me. And at that point, Jeremy's like, are you crying? I was like, yes, I am. Shut up. So the doctor came in. The doctor's like, we've got an ambulance ready. We're going to send her, and we're going to put an IV in. She'll be ready to go. And I was like, oh, this is real. They're really going to take her by ambulance right now. So I told the lady, and those of you who know me, I'm not very like all up in your face with stuff, but at that moment, I felt like God was telling me to tell her to wait. So I did. I said, can you just hold on a minute from the IV? And she was bringing the IV lady in. And I said, can you just give me 30 minutes? That is all I'm asking. And she looked right at me and Jeremy and said, we need to get her there. We're worried about her. And I said, I need you to give me 30 minutes. And she was like, okay. So she did. And at that point, Jeremy went around to one side of Olivia, and I stayed on the other side. And we both just started speaking in tongues. And we both started laying our hands on her. And I was crying really loudly and embarrassingly. And all of a sudden, the song Even If came in my head. I don't know if you guys know Mercy Me, Even If. The song started playing in my head, so I started to sing it. The doctor came in about probably, what was it? She didn't even give us the whole 30 minutes. I think like 20 minutes later she came in. And she looked at Ollie. And she sat there and looked at her for a minute. I could tell she was watching her chest rise. And then she came over with her little stethoscope, put it on her. She said, you guys can go home. There are several more incidents that happened. Not with Ollie, but several other incidents happened. Right now it's just me working. And we're waiting on Jeremy's VA stuff to come through. So it's been kind of tight. Family of 5, 1 income. It's been kind of tight. So a couple of days at work, I get a message on my phone saying I had almost a withdrawal of $300 from an unknown source. I only had $280 in my account. That was buy groceries. So of course I panicked. I didn't know what to do, so I called my bank. Many things later, couldn't figure out. They said it was something to do with student loans. Payment came through that I had no idea about. Tried to get the money back, tried to call student loans, couldn't get a hold of anybody. It's tax time, it's IRS. It was like a 30, 40-minute hold. I was at work. Got in my car to leave, it was on empty. I had no money to fill it up. So at that moment, I grabbed my phone, I was about to call Mama. Let's go look, Mom. I know I'm 30. I know I have a job. But I didn't, because something stopped me. As I got my phone out, I thought, no, I'm not going to call someone else. And it's not about pride. It was not about pride, and I felt it was not pride at the moment. It was, I've got to believe that God's going to provide in this moment. It's scary. I don't even know if I'm going to make it back to work in the morning. I don't know how I'm going to do it. But I've got to trust that God's going to provide. The next morning, I got in the car. When I got home, it said 8 miles left on my little pilot. So that morning, it's more than 8 miles to get back to my job. That morning, I made it back to work. My dash was lying. God was telling the truth. He became the fuel for my vehicle. Anyways, so on my way to work, I got attacked by mentality. My mind just started going to all these dark places on my way to work that day. I was like, what if the car stops? What if I run out of gas on my way to work? What if this happens? What if this happens? And then it was, you're not enough. You're not doing enough. You're not being here enough. You're not at home enough. Your kids are missing you because you're at work now. All this stuff. And I started bawling, guys. I mean, physically, like, heaving, crying. And then once again, a song hit me. This is how I fight my battles. So I just started screaming. Y'all, I looked like a crazy maniac in my car. I had my finger out the window, and I don't know who I was talking to, but I was like, I mean, it was bad. And I sounded god-awful. But I did it. You know what? The moment I started doing that, the fog lifted. It was better. Then when I got to work, I had a deposit in my account from the VA from past trips that Jeremy has made to the doctor that they paid for gas. And it was enough to cover the deposit and also leave us $100 in the account. So it was $100 more than what we needed. There's way more, and I can't go all through all of them or else I won't get to my story. But anyways, the more of the story is faith, and that brought me to this. I was at work a couple of days ago, night shift, and I was sitting there and I was like, Mom keeps asking me when I'm going to speak again, and I feel like I'm not ready. And I prayed and prayed, and I have been reading my Bible at work even though I'm not supposed to, but I've been doing it. If you're going to get charged with something, you might as well get charged with reading the Word, right? Right. What better way to get fired? So, you know. So I was at work and I was praying, and God said, it's time. I was like, oh, crap. I'm rusty. I'm rusty, not musty. I'm rusty. Jeez. So I got my Bible out, started reading. He immediately sent me to Genesis 22. Opened it up, it was about Abraham. I was like, oh man, Abraham. I was like, wait a minute, faith. That's what I've been dealing with the whole time. I was like, yeah, God, yeah. That's how we work. So let me read Abraham 22 for you. Sometime later, God tested Abraham's faith. Abraham, God called. Yes, he replied, here I am. Take your son, your only son, yes, Isaac, whom you love so much, and go to the land of Moriah. Go and sacrifice him as a burnt offering on one of the mountains, which I will show you. I'm going to stop there for a minute. God had called Abraham several times before this chapter, and Abraham answered every time. Then he says, I want you to take your only son Isaac, whom you love the most, your beloved, and I want you to sacrifice him. Then not only that ain't bad enough. I want you to go somewhere where you don't even know where you're going. But don't worry, because I'll show you. Talk about like slapping your face right there. That's a lot to take. He says, the next morning Abraham got up early. He saddled his donkey and took 2 of his servants with him, along with his son Isaac. Then he chopped wood for the fire for a burnt offering and set out for the place God had told him about. On the 3rd day of their journey, Abraham looked up and saw a place in the distance. Stay here with the donkey, Abraham told the servants. The boy and I will travel a little further. We will worship there, and then we will come right back. Okay, second part of this. Abraham worshipped on the way up this hill. And he also continued his normal daily activities of what he normally does when he sacrifices an animal. But he wasn't going to sacrifice an animal, he was sacrificing his beloved son. He was still doing what he normally did. He carried out his normal activities like it was nothing. Then he worshipped on the way up this hill. How many of y'all would be worshiping with your favorite child? And don't tell me y'all don't have favorite children, because I do. It shifts. It depends. They go through moods. Depends on the day. So how many? You're cheating. You only have one. Oh, okay. Oh, me too. So how many of you would be worshiping up a mountain knowing you're going to kill your favorite? So Abraham placed the wood for the burnt offering on Isaac's shoulders, while himself carried the fire and the knife. As the 2 of them walked on together, Isaac turned to Abraham and said, Father? Yes, my son, Abraham replied. We have the fire and the wood, the boy said, but where is the sheep for the burnt offering? God will provide a sheep for the burnt offering, my son, Abraham answered, and they both walked on together. It wasn't until I read this that after the fasting and after dealing with everything that I've been doing, I've read that, but I never took it the way I did this time. He says God will provide an offering. The first time I read that, I was like, oh, he's just trying to make his son feel better. But then I read it this time, and it was something different. God was telling me, no, it's different. He's saying that he knows God's going to provide. That this is a test, that this is an even if. This is an even if test. So God's going to provide no matter what. When they arrived at the place where God had told him to go, Abraham built an altar and arranged the wood on it. Then he tied his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. And Abraham picked up the knife to kill his son as a sacrifice. At that moment, the angel of the Lord called out to him from the heaven, Abraham, Abraham. Yes, here I am. Don't lay a hand on the boy, the angel said. Do not hurt him in any way. For now that I know you will truly fear God, you have not withheld from me even your son, your only beloved son. Then Abraham looked up and saw a ram caught by its horns in the thicket. So he took the ram and sacrificed it as a burnt offering in place of his son. That is a true, and they do say that Abraham is the father of nations. He's the godfather, if you will. He is the true example of faith. Don't laugh at me, David. So God called, he obeyed. Then he trusted, even in unbearable circumstances. He was willing to sacrifice something that he held most dear in his entire life. God had provided him Isaac. God promised him Isaac. And then now he's saying, it's time to give him back. What makes you think? What has God promised you that he's testing you with that says give it back? What are you going to? So then I went to Romans 4:1-5. And it pretty much, Romans 4:1-5. And I'm going to kind of summarize it because I don't want to keep y'all here all night. So it pretty much says that righteous faith does not have to be earned. What does that mean? It means pretty much that you don't have to take your card and swipe in and do your time card and make sure you have enough hours that you put in with God. It's not about that. And it's not about, have I done this enough? Have I been worshiping enough? How have I been doing this? Have I been over here enough? God, are you, is everything okay? I read my Bible 5 times this week. That's what that verse is trying to tell us. That whole section right there. Righteousness is not earned. At all. In fact, he says that the gift is freely given of faith. It's freely given. We have faith, and we have abundance of it if we choose to use it. Yes, if we choose to use it. So the promise is really not only for those who obey the law, but it's also for those who have the right amount of faith. So I don't know what God has been promising to some of y'all, but you don't have to get it by just obeying. In fact, Abraham and Sarah, they didn't listen all the time. They didn't obey all the time, but man, did they have faith. And he got all the promises. So that shows you right there that you don't have to be perfect. All you gotta do is have enough faith to make up the difference. So Romans 4:13 talks about the relationship with God. And this is really important, you guys, and I didn't realize how important the relationship with God is until I had a talk with Stacy from the Way. And actually, it kind of started the marriage counseling seminar. I don't know how many went to that, but it shook me to the core because I didn't realize I had an intimacy problem. They told us to turn around and face our partner and to look at each other eye to eye. I don't know if anybody noticed. I hope they didn't because it was embarrassing. I started bawling and I ran out. Completely meltdown, panic attack, and I cried in the bathroom because I didn't realize I had an intimacy problem. And it was shown to me. And that is why I have been so off with God for the last year, is because I have not had intimacy, and that is such a big part of the relationship with God, is intimacy. Next one is communication. Communication is huge with God, not just you talking to him, because that's what I've been doing for the last year. I've been on my knees praying on my bedroom floor and talking to him and talking. But if you asked me what he was saying, I wouldn't know at all. And actually, I want to do a little exercise. Who wants to volunteer for it real quick? Come here. I just need one.
I know that.
Okay, he's telling me to show you guys what I mean. So stay right there. Communication is huge with God, and most of the time I think that God whispers. The reason why is this. Tell me when you hear me.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Come on closer. Come on closer. I said you were amazing and you were worth it. But look how close you had to get to me to hear me. This is an important part with the communication and the relationship with God. That's what he is wanting us to have. That is such a huge part. So if you are not hearing what God is saying to you and you're jealous of other people that can hear God and that are getting these prophecies, it's because you're way over there. Same reason I was. I was in my bedroom floor worshiping God and praying and crying and, God, why can't I hear you? God, I just want to get close to you. Because I was a mile down the road and I didn't know it. Yeah, he was talking to me, but I couldn't hear him. I was too far because my relationship and my intimacy and my communication was off and my faith was way off. So let's turn to Hebrews 11:1. This is probably one of my favorite verses in the Bible. Faith is the confidence that what we hope for will actually happen. It gives us an assurance about things we cannot see. That is so, man, that's an awesome verse. Faith is the confidence that what we hope for will actually happen. That's what faith is. It's the confidence to know that it will happen. It gives us assurance about things we cannot see. Man, I love that. A little bit further on 8, it says, it was faith that Abraham obeyed when God called him to leave home and to go to another land, that God would give him an inheritance. He went without knowing where he was going. Did y'all hear that? He went without knowing where he was going. And even when he reached the land God promised him, he lived there by faith. For he was like a foreigner living in tents. Abraham was confidently looking forward to a city with eternal foundations, a city designed and built by God. It was by faith that Abraham offered Isaac as a sacrifice when God was testing him. Abraham, who had received God's promise, was ready to sacrifice his only son Isaac, even though God had told him, Isaac is the son through whom your descendants will be counted. I really believe, you guys, that Abraham knew that if he did have to sacrifice his son, even if he had to sacrifice him, that Abraham knew that he would bring him back. Talk about faith. That brings a whole nother level to the Abraham story, is believing that even if he did have to kill his only son, God would have brought him back. Because when God gives a promise, he doesn't take it back. The Passion translation of this is amazing. If you guys don't have a Passion Bible, faith motivated Abraham to obey God's call and leave the familiar to discover the territory he was designed to inherit from God. So he left with only a promise, and without even knowing ahead of time where he was going, Abraham stepped out in faith. And you guys, I don't remember who it was that came and taught us. I think it was someone from Destiny Life. But he taught us spiritual childhood, spiritual adolescence, and spiritual adulthood. Is that right? Glenn Schaefer, that's right. He taught us there's 3 of those. The very beginning of Abraham's story, Abraham first learned how to sacrifice animals. God told him exactly how to do it, and he was giving up something. He was giving up his herd. He had to sacrifice something that he owned. That's spiritual childhood. He passed the test for that. So then he moved on to spiritual adolescence. He had to sacrifice his own flesh. He had to get circumcised. That is sacrificing your own flesh. That led him into spiritual adulthood. God was saying, you're ready for the ultimate test. For that last test to be spiritual in adulthood, he said, you need to sacrifice the one thing you hold dear in life. And you need to trust me with it. He had to sacrifice his son to reach that. Faith doesn't come overnight. And this just shows you that there are stages that we have to go through. And I hope that I am getting closer and closer. I don't know where I'm at in this three stage, but I hope I'm getting close. Do the tests scare me? My human flesh, yes. But I believe and I have faith that I'll be able to pass all the tests because I want to get to Abraham faith. That's what I want most. So I don't know who this story or who this lesson was for, but I feel like there are some people here that are attached to things that God is trying to sacrifice, trying to get you to sacrifice in your life. I don't know what it is. Maybe you're still in childhood. Maybe there are some things that you just can't let go yet. Your possessions. I don't know what that is. You do. Maybe some of you are stuck in adolescence. Maybe you don't want to sacrifice your flesh. That could be anything. That could be not wanting to quit cussing. I'm not saying cussing is wrong, but maybe that is holding you back. Everybody's different. I think everybody has their own if you feel like this is wrong, then it's wrong to you. Maybe sacrifice your flesh as in, I don't want to give up smoking, but that's taking time away from the Bible. I don't want to stop drinking, but is that taking away time from the Bible? These are the things of the flesh that you got to get rid of. The last one is the ultimate test. What's the one thing you hold dear in your life? What is it? What's the one thing God has given you that you're afraid to give back? So I really just wanted you guys to kind of consider everything, because I'm definitely going through some of these. And it's taken a while. He started with my finances, my children. So I'd like to pray. If anybody has anything that they feel like they're ready to let go, Jean and Shane and Mom and all of us would be happy to pray to get some of these things off so you can sacrifice them and to move on to your next stage. Because if you don't sacrifice them, then you can't move on. So I'm going to go ahead and pray this out. Lord Jesus, I just pray right now, Father God, that you open the hearts and you open the eyes to everybody in here. And open their ears so they can hear you. Father God, let them know that they are further, and that's why they can't hear you. God, I just ask you that you lay it on their hearts, Father God, what it is that you are wanting them to sacrifice so they can move on and so they can grow closer to you and strengthen that bond. Lord Jesus, we thank you, Father God, for giving us everything that you have done for us, for healing us, our families. We just thank you, God, for all the blessings, all the grace. We ask you, Lord, as everybody leaves out of here today, Father, that their eyes are open, their ears are open, and their hearts are open to listen, to accept you, and to move further in their walk. And keep everybody safe. In your wonderful name, amen.
All right. Abraham faith. We talked about crazy faith a week or two ago. Faith is... It's hard to have faith if you're not close to God, isn't it? And I think He's calling us to come to Him. Have you thought about that adolescent, that childhood, the adolescence and adult? It's the second time we've heard it now. But have you heard what it's saying? In your natural growth, did you know when you were going from a child to an adolescent and from an adolescent to an adult? Did you feel it? Or did you just start walking into it and all of a sudden you were there? And really, sometimes we don't even realize that we're walking into it, but the people around us see it when we're doing it. Let me show you something. Let me see the Bible. I can tell when Amy's on fire for God. I'm going to put this mic down. You see this Bible? There are things all in it. When she's not on fire from God, there aren't any new marks. When she's on fire for God, she is in this Word constantly. She doesn't see herself growing, but we can.
It's just like you just said that. Like, Shane has been doing so much, you know, and he's at a point right now that's just crazy and so inspiring, but, you know, sometimes I feel like we doubt ourselves and we wonder if we are growing, and it's not a prideful moment, but Shane had someone come up to him
Exactly.